What if the version of you who's already living your dream life is real? Not someday, not as a fantasy, but right now, in this moment, there is a version of you in a parallel reality who has already arrived. They didn't have to become someone else. They didn't have to wait for the perfect timing. They simply aligned with a different timeline, and now they're living the life that you've only glimpsed from a distance. You're not imagining it, you're remembering it, because that version of you is not a metaphor. They're real, and they exist as surely as the you who's reading these words. You exist across many timelines, and every version of you is real. We've been taught to think of life as a single straight line, one path, one outcome, one limited reality where everything unfolds step by step. But that's not how the deeper layers of existence actually work. Reality is not linear, it's multidimensional. You are not fixed in one story. You're living inside an infinite lattice of parallel timelines, each one representing a different expression of who you could be, and all of them exist now. Not later, not someday, right now. Each choice, each belief, each moment of clarity or doubt slightly shifts your trajectory. Every fork in the road spawns a new version of you who made the other decision. And the timeline where everything worked out, the one where your highest vision of yourself is fully embodied, that path is real and it's alive. There is a version of you who already said yes, who already committed to their purpose, who already made the move, followed the call, stepped into the unknown, and never looked back. And because timelines are not separated by distance but by frequency, you're not far from them. You're just vibrating differently. You don't need to create your dream life from nothing. You need to shift into the version of reality where it already exists. The truth that changes everything is this. You don't build your dream life brick by brick. You tune into it, you select it, you align with the version of you who's already experiencing it and collapse that reality into your field. It's not magic, it's mechanics. The outer world is not as solid as it seems. It's a projection, a mirror, a holographic feedback loop reflecting your internal state, your beliefs, your assumptions, your identity. The moment you start to embody a new version of yourself, your timeline begins to shift. Not gradually, instantly, subtly at first, and then all at once. This is why the most powerful decision you can make is to fully believe that your ideal life already exists. Because it does. The evidence isn't in your current surroundings. It's in your potential to perceive and move toward a reality that already holds everything you've been searching for. That version of you is not better than you. They are you, without the filters, without the fear. We tend to imagine our future self as someone distant, wiser, more powerful, as if there's some elevated being we'll only become if we work hard enough. But that creates separation that makes it feel like a long journey. In truth, your parallel self, the one living the life you want, is simply a version of you who made different energetic decisions. They didn't upgrade into something new. They remembered who they were, and they acted from that truth. You don't need to add anything to become them. You need to peel away the beliefs and habits that are keeping you in the version of reality where you feel stuck. Your freedom, your success, your alignment, they're not outside of you. They're waiting for you in a different layer of the multiverse, one where your light has never been dimmed. This is not about potential. This is about presence. Potential is a future idea. It says you might get there someday. Presence says it's already here. Are you ready to receive it? When you recognize that your dream life already exists in a parallel timeline, the game changes. You no longer have to grind your way toward it. You no longer have to beg the universe to let it happen. You start to understand it's already done. Your only job is to align with it. The universe is not holding anything back from you. You are not being tested or delayed. You are being invited to tune into a frequency that already carries your highest expression. That frequency isn't somewhere in the clouds, it's here, it's now, and you can begin moving toward it by changing how you see yourself. Every reality already exists. You choose which one you experience by who you decide to be. You are not stuck, you are not waiting, you are not behind. You are simply tuned into a version of reality that reflects your current state. Change the state, and you shift the world around you. This is the quantum nature of existence. You're not climbing a ladder, you're selecting a channel. Just like a radio doesn't invent a song, it simply tunes into a frequency that's already playing. You don't create success, purpose, love, or clarity from thin air. You move into the timeline where those things are already true. And when you do, you don't force it. You allow it. Because it's not about making the dream happen, it's about letting yourself step into the version of you who's already living it. Think of someone who seemed to succeed overnight. One moment they were just like everyone else, unknown, unrecognized, uncertain, and then everything changed. They blew up. Their energy shifted. They became magnetic. It looked like luck from the outside. But what really happened? They moved into a parallel version of themselves. They stopped feeding the version of reality where they were small and aligned instead with the identity of someone who was already chosen, already expressed, already powerful. And the world responded. The world didn't make them. They made a new world by choosing a new version of themselves. And that same choice is available to you. This is not about someday anymore. It's about now. You've already glimpsed the timeline where things work, where you're centered, where you're powerful, where you've stopped waiting for permission and started living with conviction. That timeline isn't fiction. It's real, and it's within reach. Because timelines are not locked. They're fluid, malleable, responding to your state of consciousness moment by moment. The question is no longer, can I get there? It's, am I ready to let go of the version of me that says I can't? You don't need a roadmap. You need to remember that the destination already exists, and the one who's already there is you. And they're not waiting for you to earn it. They're simply waiting for you to decide. That decision isn't loud. It's quiet, internal. It doesn't need fanfare. It happens the moment you stop negotiating with your fears and start embodying your truth. The moment you say, I'm ready to experience what's already mine. That's when you stop seeking. That's when the shift begins. Not because you changed the world, but because you tuned into the version of you who never believed you had to. If you feel a deep desire in your soul to do something, it means there's a version of you who's already thriving in that life. That pull you feel isn't just hope, it's memory, it's resonance. It's the signal of a version of you who already made the leap, and they're trying to reach you. You are not here to chase dreams that aren't meant for you. You are here to remember them, and the way you remember is through feeling. Not logic, not evidence, but the visceral knowing that something is calling you, even if you can't explain why. That call is real, that life is real, that version of you is real. When you feel that electric desire, the kind that bypasses your mind and speaks directly to your heart, it's not a fantasy, it's a message, a form of communication from the you who already lives that reality. And the reason you feel so alive when you imagine it is because for a moment, you're touching their frequency. Desire is not lack, it's alignment. We've been conditioned to believe that wanting something means we don't have it, that desire comes from a place of absence. But that's not how the deeper mechanics of reality work. True desire, the kind that moves you, stirs you, lights a fire inside you, only arises because the reality you're tuning into already exists. You cannot long for something that doesn't already exist within your field of possibilities. Your system doesn't generate fantasy. It picks up on resonance. That vision you keep returning to, the dream that won't leave you alone, it's not coming from you. It's coming to you. Desire is not the beginning. It's the echo. And the echo is coming from a version of you who is already living the experience you keep dreaming of. When you feel that pull, it's not just motivation, it's contact, a frequency match, a vibrational message that says, this is who we are. When your dream feels like home, it's because you've been there before, in another timeline. That sense of familiarity you get when you visualize your dream life, that's not your imagination. That's your consciousness brushing up against the version of reality where it's already happening. You know the feeling. It's not just a nice idea. It feels right. It feels peaceful, clear, expansive, even if it also feels a little out of reach. That feeling is the key. It's the signal. Because emotion is the language of the soul. When you imagine a reality that feels aligned and your whole body lights up, that's your internal guidance system confirming that what you're seeing is available. You couldn't feel it that strongly if it weren't real somewhere in the field. And you wouldn't care about it if it weren't meant for you. The moment you feel that energetic yes, the chills, the warmth in your chest, the tears you can't explain, you are receiving a transmission from your parallel self. Not in words, but in energy. They are showing you what's possible, and the more you trust that feeling, the closer you move toward them. Imagination is not fiction, it's access. We're told that imagination is something children grow out of, that it's something playful, ungrounded, unreal. But imagination is actually a tool, a psychic interface between timelines. When you imagine a reality that feels meaningful to you, you are not fabricating it. You are tuning into it. That mental movie you keep seeing when you're drifting off to sleep, the scene that pops into your mind when you're walking alone or listening to music, that's not meaningless. That's the version of you who's already thriving, inviting you into their reality. That's what real inspiration is. Your imagination is the portal. And when your imagination begins to loop on the same vision, a certain version of yourself, a lifestyle, a place, a mission, a relationship, that's not obsession. That's alignment sharpening its signal. That's your parallel self saying, you're getting closer, don't stop now. The better it feels, the clearer the signal. Your emotions are not random. They are vibrational indicators. When you imagine a reality and it makes you feel small, heavy, doubtful, that's not your path. When you imagine a reality and your energy expands, your breath deepens, and a quiet knowing arises, that's not a daydream. That's you brushing up against the frequency of your parallel self. They don't need to convince you. They don't need to prove anything. They speak in feeling, and when you slow down long enough to listen, the message becomes clear. This is who you really are. Your parallel self already lives the life you dream about. So how do you live it too? The answer isn't found in effort. It's found in alignment. That version of you, the one who already said yes to their calling, the one who already lives with purpose, freedom, and truth, they're not ahead of you. They're not in the future. They're simply operating at a different frequency. And frequency is something you can match. This isn't about becoming them. It's about tuning to them. You don't chase the version of you who's already living your dream life. You synchronize with them. Like two radio stations playing different songs, your reality is always broadcasting something, and the song changes the moment you change the channel. So how do you change the channel? You start being who you would be if it was already real. The key to merging timelines is identity. Your identity, who you believe you are, and how you choose to show up, is the doorway between realities. You can't experience a new world while embodying the frequency of the old one. And you can't wait for proof before you believe. The version of you who lives your dream isn't waiting for confirmation. They already know who they are. So you must begin with the question, how does that version of me think, speak, act, move, respond, decide? Not in some far-off future, but today, right now. They are not trying to become, they're being. They're already immersed in the reality you want to access, and that means you can reverse engineer their energy. You can feel your way into it, and the more you operate from that version of yourself, the more that reality responds. Because reality is just a reflection. It doesn't lead, it follows. When you change your state of being, your world reconfigures to match. Everything begins with state, not action, not strategy, not hustle. State. Your mood, your belief, your assumptions. This is what creates the filter through which reality flows. If your inner state says, "I'm still waiting," your life will mirror that. But if your state says, "This is already who I am," your timeline will begin to rearrange itself. This is why things sometimes shift the moment you stop trying so hard. You let go, you realign, you drop into clarity, and suddenly the answer appears. The opportunity opens, the synchronicity hits. That's not random, that's reflection. Your world is a mirror, and it cannot show you what you're not willing to be. Embodiment is the bridge between timelines. You don't need to build the bridge, you are the bridge. The moment you choose to embody the frequency of your parallel self, the gap begins to close. And it happens through small, radical choices made with full conviction. It looks like this. You stop waiting for the perfect plan and start moving from inner knowing. You stop asking if you're good enough and start showing up like someone who already is. You stop negotiating with doubt and start investing your energy in what excites you, unapologetically. Every time you do that, you reinforce the signal. You align more deeply, you walk with more clarity, and eventually the old version of you, the one who hesitated, the one who questioned everything, fades away. Not because you fixed yourself, but because you stopped feeding that identity. You're not changing who you are, you're remembering. You're collapsing into the version of yourself who's always been there, the one who was never afraid to show up fully. That version of you may feel bold, foreign, intense, but only because you've spent so long pretending to be something smaller. This isn't a leap, it's a return. And the more you act from that energy, the more you'll notice something strange. Things that used to feel hard start becoming easy. People start responding differently. Ideas drop in effortlessly. Synchronicities appear with shocking precision. Why? Because you're no longer working against yourself. You're no longer projecting desire from lack. You're broadcasting truth from embodiment. The version of you who already lives the life you want doesn't act like it's a dream. They act like it's done. And that is the most important shift you can make. Not just thinking differently, not just visualizing, but being. You walk into rooms as that version. You speak with their certainty. You set boundaries from their standards. You make decisions from their level of clarity. You treat your life, even in the subtle private moments, as if you're already them. Because in doing so, you are. That's the quantum key. Identity first, evidence second. The external world will always catch up to the version of you you're willing to embody. That's not spiritual fluff. That's resonance. That's alignment. That's the blueprint of how change really happens. So stop chasing timelines. Stop waiting for permission. Stop negotiating with fear and start acting like it's already yours. Because the moment you do, your reality starts bending around you. Not in response to effort, but in response to truth.